All right, everybody, here we are, Totally Driven Radio. Excuse me. All right, we've been working on this interview for a few weeks now, and I'm really excited about this, and I can't wait for this. And here we are, we're ready to roll. Here's a man who has won a Stanley Cup. He's won an Olympic gold medal, and he is truly the definition of Totally Driven. Let me welcome to Totally Driven Radio, the one, the only, Mr. Theo Fleury. Theo, how you doing today?
I'm great. How are you doing, man?
Good, man, good. Hey, before we get on to the interview, we're based here in Philly, so naturally I'm a Flyers fan.
Yeah.
And at the time you were playing, I always had, the dream wish of players who I wanted to play for the Flyers. And it was always, guys who I felt would fit into that Flyer role perfectly, guys that were hard-working players, played with a lot of heart, a lot of emotion, and a lot of balls. They put it out there, and they weren't scared to, score, fight, just be a total team player all around. And it was guys like Keith Primeau, who ended up playing on the Flyers and unfortunately was injured pretty quickly, and we lost him. Jeremy Roenick, who was towards the tail end of his career, which would have been great if it was more in the time that you guys were playing. Another one was Brendan Shanahan.
Yes.
And then another player was Matthew Barnaby, and then the last one was you. I always felt that you would have felt perfect with the Flyers. Did you ever have a chance through free agency to come to the Flyers?
I don't even know if they called when I was a free agent before I went to New York, but there was a time, I think, before I got traded from Calgary, that there were some rumors flying around that Philly was trying to get me, but obviously that I don't think it worked out. So, I think the fans in Philly are quite interesting, quite passionate. I would say that I remember going into the old Spectrum for the first time, and after growing up as a kid on the prairies, obviously when Philly won those back-to-back cups, it was pretty cool to go there and play, and
right.
It was such an intimidating building to play. The way the building was configured, the fans were right on top of you, and it was a lot of fun to play. I think I scored a hat trick there one night in Philly in the old
Nice.
Spectrum. So it was a great place to go and play, and and then I remember the World Cup in '96 playing in Philly against the Americans. There it was a nice new building, brand new, and it's fun to play in those.
Would you believe they knocked the Spectrum down and opened a bar there, a sports bar?
Really?
Yeah. There was
good.
all these plans that they were going to build a hotel there and this sports bar that they built, and there was going to be a shopping district, and they knocked the Spectrum down, and it's now just parking lot or even I think grass. And in the corner of the parking lot where it was the entrance ramp to go into the Spectrum for the players and all that is now a sports bar.
Wow. Lovely.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's Philly's a crazy place, and I remember when I was playing for the Rangers, and obviously it was a big rivalry between Philly and the Rangers.
Sure.
And this grandmother sitting with her grandchild, probably about 4 rows behind the bench, and her giving me the finger and swearing at me, and I thought, geez, man, what a place this is, Pretty hilarious stuff. But
now you mentioned how the Flyers won the back-to-back cups in the '70s, and it's we've had on a couple of times one of the Phillies pitchers from the '08 team that won the World Series, and I talked to him about this, and it's kind of the same way with them guys now, where they're champions here in Philly, and no matter what them guys can do, they can do no wrong. And still to this day, as a matter of fact, this past weekend, right by my house was a sports memorabilia show, and there was a bunch of like old Phillies and players, and there was 4 of the Broad Street Bullies there, and they're always at sports collectible shows in this area, and there's still a long line of people that love to meet them. Is it like that around the league as well? Like, I mean, you've won a Stanley Cup, so is it like when you go into Calgary, are you still heralded as like a saint? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think it's a it's nice to be remembered. It's nice to to go to events. You know, I do probably 75 events a year, you know, all across Canada and a little bit in the U.S. and you know, it's always nice to be remembered. It's always nice to meet people, and you know, I think that, you know, we as former players and the era that we played in and grew up in, you know, we have an appreciation for the fans that, you know, without them, you know, buying tickets and coming to games and buying jerseys and hockey cards and, you know, whatever else, you know, is available, you know, we wouldn't have been able to make the living that we did. And you know, so, you know, I think that's something that's been lost, you know, in this new generation of kids, is that they don't realize is that, you know, without any fans, you know, there is no, you know, lifestyle that they're accustomed to.
Sure. Well, I started reading your book a few weeks ago. I'm only about halfway done, and I got to say, the one question before I even get into the book was it therapeutic to actually write it? Was it like a healing way for you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think anybody that you know, obviously writes an autobiography about their life and whatnot, it's very cathartic and very you know, it allows you to explain to people, you know, what your life has been like, the struggles, the, you know, the highs, the lows, and, you know, the in-between. So, you know, and then really, you know, I just want to get some things off my chest. You know, obviously, when you're an elite NHL player and you just basically kind of disappear off the map after, you know, a 15-year career, you know, it obviously left a lot of questions out there as to, you know, why that happened. And I just wanted to, you know, obviously set the record straight and you know, let people know, you know, what I was dealing with while I was playing in the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, when I started reading, I mean, like the first 3 pages, where you're talking about having the gun and contemplating suicide, I literally, my reading room is my bathroom. That's where I do all my reading. So I remember coming out of the bathroom with my mouth literally on the floor, just looking at my wife, and she was like, "What's the matter?" And I was explaining to her the first 3 pages, and it was like I was just blown away. It was just amazing, and it truly shows where your life had gotten to, and where people. The thing I kept picturing was, here's, you know, Theo Fleury, legendary hockey player. He's made a lot of money, heralded by the fans, kids everywhere, and look what he's gone through. Like, it's not always, the picture's not always greener on the other side like everybody thinks it is, and that's the true definition in them first 3 pages of how it's not.
Yeah. Well, and you know, really what's come out of writing that book is realizing that, you know, childhood trauma, and, you know, mine is, you know, sexual abuse,
right,
is the biggest epidemic on the planet. You know, there was a case in the United States with the Boy Scouts of America.
Sure.
And so, you know, they hid 5,200 pedophiles.
Wow.
During the time that they've been around. And what I know is that once a pedophile gets caught, on average he has 125 victims by the time he gets caught. Okay? So if you do some quick math, 5,200 pedophiles hidden in the Boy Scouts of America times 125, 600,000 boys were sexually abused in the Boy Scouts of America.
Wow.
And, so, and I've gone, across the country here in Canada, I don't know how many times now, with doing my speaking engagements and whatnot. And, I've had 500,000 people come up to me and reveal that has happened to them as well. And so, when I sat down to write the book, I had no idea that this was as big as it was, and that, that I shared the same experience as, 8.5 million other Canadians, 63 million in the United States, that I shared the same experiences as a lot of people, which, then really empowered me. And, because I always felt that, I was the only person in the world that this had happened to.
Right.
And, quickly found out that that's not the case at all. And now to be an advocate for, for kids and for children and education and, tougher laws, stiffer sentences, all that kind of stuff is, really what's come out of the book. And that's, purpose. And, although, it was a difficult time in my life, I think something really great has come out of it, which is, this whole new perspective and outlook that, I can be a voice for people who have not found their voice yet, and hopefully,
right.
By them seeing me or listening to your program, they can find the courage and the strength to come forward and start their healing journey.
It's weird. It's almost like the thing that happened to you, like they say things happen to people that can handle it, and for many years something you fought with and you really couldn't handle, but then later on down the road you've learned to deal with it and handle it, and you've now come out to help people, and it's almost like you're being like an angel to people and helping to put an end to this.
Well, it's been an incredible journey, and along the way I've met some really amazing people that when I was finally ready to get the help that I needed, there was people there that were willing to help me and help get my life back on track and put some perspective back in my life, and like I said, it's been really incredible. It's been life changing. It's been incredibly rewarding. And the biggest stigma attached to sexual abuse is that those of us who have gone through the experience, what's left is this thing called shame that we carry around. And really, at the end of the day, it's really not our shame to bear. It was never our fault. There's nothing we could have done to stop it. There's nothing we could have done to prevent it. And, the shame really belongs to the abuser, not to us who have gone through it. And then certainly we are not alone in the experience. And really what I try to do on a daily basis is just to try to have more conversations and open it for discussion so that other people, like I said, can find their own voice and their own strength and their own courage to come forward and like I said, start that healing journey that needs to happen in order for you to go on to have a happy, peaceful life. And really that's the best revenge against the abusers, for you to go on and have a happy life and put those demons, so to speak, behind you and go on to help other people through your own story and through your own conversation. That's really what it's all about.
Right. Now, when you were going back to playing hockey when you first started, the one thing that I thought was incredible in the book was that you actually had the picture of you as a small child going to play hockey for the first time. I mean,
isn't that wild? Yeah. Who'd ever thought that somebody would capture that moment, basically frozen in time, and
right.
But the thing about it was that day was, for me, I stepped on the ice for the very first time, and I didn't fall down and I didn't struggle, and that was the day that I absolutely fell head over heels in love with the game of hockey, and obviously had lots of ability and lots of talent, and because I grew up on the prairies, that certain work ethic was instilled in me at a young age, and I worked as hard as I could, every day to be the best hockey player that I could be, and in the end, I went on to have a pretty amazing hockey career and got to play with some of the greatest players that have ever played this game, and and then, like I said, everything I have today was given to me freely, by
right.
throwing a bunch of old equipment in a pill sack and heading down to an old converted barn that they turned into a rink, and I guess the rest of the story is kind of history, but I love to play the game. I love to compete, because I was willing to die in order to win, and
sure,
every game that I played was, that I had that attitude and that mentality, and because when you're 5'6", you have to have that mentality. Is that no matter where you are, whether that's playing in the Spectrum in Philly or in some little prairie town in the middle of nowhere when it's colder in the rink than it is outside.
Right.
It really comes down to how hard are you willing to compete against somebody, and there's no better feeling than at the end of the game, knowing that you've given everything you've had, and it's accumulated a win for your team.
Now, when you were in the NHL entry draft, when you were drafted, I mean, you weren't drafted until late. What was it, the 8th round? And
yeah. At
that point, did you think, it's not going to happen? Nobody's going to take a chance on me?
There was never a doubt in my mind. Actually 20 rounds of the draft went by before I got selected, because my first year of eligibility, I didn't get selected. So, I was always very confident in my ability. I just wanted a chance, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Look at where Pavel Datsyuk was drafted, and look at,
right.
The kind of player that he's turned into. Look at Zetterberg, where he's been picked in the draft, and, look where he turned out, so at the end of the day, I just wanted a chance, and I wanted an opportunity to show what I could do, and in the end, it turned out, really great. And, I couldn't have gone to a better organization, the Calgary Flames were a big, big team, and, they were looking for somebody that could, provide a spark for the team and, bring some excitement to the team. And, I just was able to move right in and fit into that role nicely. And, 6 months later, I'm carrying the Stanley Cup around the Montreal Forum with Lanny McDonald and, so many other great players that, that were here in Calgary.
I love the picture in the book as well, with you sleeping with the Stanley Cup when you got to take it home.
I know. I love that picture, too. I love the caption, too. One of the best things I've ever slept with.
How scary is that, though?
Yeah, it's and when you have a lot of early success in your career, you think that's kind of the norm, but basically closest I got, in the next 14 years was when I went to Colorado and we lost to Dallas in Game 7. And Dallas eventually went on to beat Buffalo for the Stanley Cup. So, I have a lot more appreciation for what happened here in Calgary in '89 now than I did at the beginning, because obviously when you win one, you obviously want to win 2, 3, 4, as many as you can. And at the beginning of every year, when you start with a clean slate, that's what your goal is. That's what the team goal is to win the Stanley Cup.
Now, when you were still with the Flames, like towards the end of your career with the Flames, they made you captain, and you really didn't want to be a captain, it seemed. Why was that?
Well, it was just a difference in philosophies between myself and Pierre Pagier, and as a captain of a team, you need the support of the coach, and I just felt that wasn't there, and we had a young team at the time, and I really felt that it was important to give that opportunity to one of the young guys on the team, which was Todd Simpson, who was a great guy, great kid, and but you don't need a letter on your jersey to be a leader. I always said that, and so it just came down to difference of philosophies, and unfortunately, that's the way it was at that time, and but like I said, I still were an assistant captain, and I supported the young guy, and tried to help him navigate his way around a little bit better. So
now, does that put a lot more pressure on you being captain?
No, not really.
No.
Obviously when you play at the highest level, you want to be the best player you can be, and it's important that you're a role model, that you're a leader, that you make everybody on the team feel part of the team and and whatnot. But it's not any added pressure than making it to the NHL. Obviously, I was told, I don't even know, 1 million times that I was too small to play the game and I would never play a game in the National Hockey League. But I was able to play over 1,000 games and get 1,000 points. So it was a great experience.
I was just wondering that because here with the Flyers, right now, they put the C on Claude Giroux beginning of last season, and since they did that, he just has not been the same player. And this year he doesn't even have a goal yet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I didn't know if there was a pressure on him now to be captain, and he's just not captain material, or.
Yeah, I because we live out west, I obviously follow the Flames and the Oilers because they're here in Alberta, and Vancouver, Winnipeg, teams like that. So I don't.
Right.
I don't know Claude Giroux. All I know is that he had a hell of a start to his career, and
right.
The thing is that when you play for a long period of time,
okay,
there are going to be times in your career where things don't go necessarily the way that you think they should go, or the way that the fans think they should go.
Sure.
I think it's just a natural progression in everybody's career that you do go through some tough times. You do go through periods of your career where you struggle, but obviously a guy like Claude Giroux has all the talent, all the skill, toughness, all those things, and he's just having a tough time. And the best thing you can do when you're going through something like that is really buckle down and work hard. Be the first guy on the ice at practice, working on stuff that you think is going to help your game. Be the last guy off the ice, and those are the type of things that get you out of difficult times. Is if you're working hard, eventually all that hard work will pay off. So hopefully he's doing, all those things today to help him get himself out of a slump.
Yeah, yeah. Now, how about when Calgary ended up trading you? I mean, was that an emotional blow for you, or?
Yeah, it was a difficult time for sure. I thought I was going to be a Calgary Flame for my whole entire career, and at that time you only get one kick at the cat at total free agency, and I remember meeting with Harley Hotchkiss, who was one of the owners of the Flames, and we sat down, and he basically said, we have this much money, and we would love for you to stay, but he said, I also understand if you don't take this offer, and I end up going to New York and getting $11 million more than what the Flames offered. So it was just one of those situations, and but yeah, obviously it was a difficult time, but I look at it, I got to go to Colorado and play with Joe Sakic and Peter Forsberg, so it was pretty amazing experience. Patrick Waugh, Claude Lemieux, Adam Foote, Chris Drury, Milan Hayduk, there were some pretty incredible players there, so it was a fun time.
Now, when you went to the Rangers, do you think going to New York itself hurt your situation even more between all the drugs and alcohol and all the temptations in New York?
No. I could have been in, anywhere. That, still would have happened. So, once you're, you cross that line, you can always find it anywhere. Doesn't matter if it's New York, but obviously New York's such a huge city. I was able to do it, discreetly, and there wasn't a whole lot of fanfare around it. So.
Now, I haven't gotten to the section of the book yet where I don't know if you go into it or not, but you talk about it real quick in them first 3 pages, where when you were in New York, you would go to the bad parts of New York City and go and party with the homeless people.
Yep.
What made you do, what was the fascination or what was the attraction to that?
Well, those are the people that I relate to. I don't relate to Wall Street guys. I don't relate to, I was, those were the guys I relate to, and we'd have some pretty incredible conversations, to be honest with you, wondering how they ended up where they ended up, and, a lot of them, talked about abuse as a child, whether that was physical, mental, or whatever you want to call it. So, there was a lot of commonality in our past experiences, and I thought that was kind of interesting.
Did you tell them who you were? Like,
no.
Play on the Rangers? No.
No, I was just a drunk, just like they were. I was just, I wasn't any special than anybody else. I was a guy that was struggling with addiction. I was a guy that was struggling with life, and I felt that those guys could relate to to what I was going through.
Now, I saw there was a situation with you and the Sharks mascot. What was all that about?
Yeah, it's just a bunch of bullshit. I was coming off the ice after being thrown out of one of the games, and he just happened to be standing there, and he didn't move out of the way, so I gave him a little push, and then all of a sudden, it's
media blows it up, and
you got broken ribs and all kinds of stupid stuff. So, because if I really wanted to beat him up, do you think I would have just the story would have been a lot better than that, don't you think? Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah. Now, you went off to the Blackhawks after the Rangers, and you were suspended before the start of the 2002-03 season for violating substance abuse. Now, when they finally suspended you, you had failed, and you had said this in the book, you failed tests before, but they would not suspend you because you were the highest scorer in the league?
Well, I'm not exactly sure what it was, about that, but I know how many tests I failed. Obviously, it was just one of those times in my life where, I was not doing well. I was struggling, and I know that the NHL probably didn't like that statement in my book, but
right.
Obviously, I know how many tests I failed, and I don't know what the reasoning was behind it. Maybe they were just trying to, to help me. They knew that hockey was such an important thing at the time, and they didn't want me to be out of the game or whatever. But without the NHL substance and behavioral program, I guarantee I would not be where I'm at today. The places that I went, the places that they sent me to, each one of those places I was able to pick up tools that I use today to stay clean and sober for, I don't even know how many days it's been, a lot. And,
wow.
It was because of, the program and the places that I went, and, that helped me, learn how to live life on life's terms.
Yeah, I was going to say, when they did finally suspend you, do you think that was their way of trying to say, look, Theo, we're doing this for your own good and we want to help you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I realize that now, for sure, And, obviously I had a lot of anger problems and a lot of anger issues, and, a lot of issues with authority and stuff. So, I now realize that they were doing their best to try and help me and try and save my life. And, at the end of the day, they did. And, right. I'm grateful for that and appreciative, for sure.
And then you had the bar fight incident, which ended up leading you being waived by the Blackhawks and suspended again, which technically ended your career. Now, after that, is that when you finally hit rock bottom and tried to get help, or?
No, I didn't hit rock
deeper?
bottom. I went on about 18-month drunk, I guess, after that.
Wow.
And it wasn't until I moved back to Calgary that I got my life back together. So, when you're not ready, you're not ready. And like
True.
I said, I wasn't ready to make that that commitment, and so it is what it is.
Then you tried making a comeback in 2009 with the Flames.
Yeah, it was. I didn't get to leave the game on my terms, and I think more than anything else, I really wanted to not retire from the NHL as a suspended player, and really I just wanted to go through the process of getting reinstated.
Right.
And was able to do that, and then the Flames invited me to training camp, and I said, hey, why not, give it a shot. And
sure.
And it was a wonderful time, and that first game I got to go back and play in the Saddledome was pretty magical and pretty amazing. That that I scored the winning goal in the shootout with people chanting my name, and it was funny because when you're in the moment, you don't realize what's happening around you. But after the game, and my wife had never seen me play an NHL game, and she came up to me after the game and she goes, do you realize that there were grown men crying in the stands when that goal went in? And then I went home and clicked on YouTube and watched some of the stuff that people had recorded, and it was pretty magical and amazing night. Hollywood scripts aren't written that way, because it's one of those things. Is this really happened, and but yeah, what a great night it was.
Have you ever had a moment like that, whether it's being your own career or a sports moment where it brought you to tears? I know I have.
Yeah, there's been lots, and that's why sports is so incredible and so great and keeps us riveted, and buying tickets, going to live events, just to see those moments, right? And to have had my own.
What was one moment in your career that brought you to tears?
Well, I saw Rod Carew get his 3,000th hit as a California Angel long time ago.
Sure.
And just Mariano Rivera.
Yeah.
Yankee
that was
Stadium.
incredible.
Yeah. So that's what keeps us watching sports, is for those moments, and because TSN up here, which is the equivalent to ESPN down in the United States, they used to have a commercial that I was a part of called Real Life, Real Drama, Real TV, and that's what it is. So many amazing things. Brett Favre, Monday Night Football. Father passes away and he has the game of his life. That's
right.
Those are things that inspire people to not give up ever, to just keep going. There's an old saying: if you're going through hell, just keep going. Right.
Right.
Because what are you going to do? Accept it?
You have to keep going. Yeah, you have to keep going. You can't give up.
Going.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, with that last stint with the Flames before you did officially retire, when you're reinstated, it seemed like you were back. You could have played. Was there any interest by any other teams after they saw you play?
Yeah, there was. But when I sat my family down at the kitchen table, they all just said, "You know what, Dad? It was a great comeback. We're proud of you, and I really don't want to get on a plane to come see you anymore. You're in Calgary here, and we want you to stay here." So
nice.
And that really was, all I needed to hear.
That's awesome. So now, nowadays, what are you up to beside you do all your talk and trying to help other children who have gone through what you've gone through? What else are you up to now?
I have a country music band that I sing in here in Calgary, and we write all our own songs, and we're working on our first album here that'll be out in the new year.
Nice.
Writing another book.
Really?
Yep.
Cool.
All based around healing and experiences that I've had since the first book came out, and we're doing some conference stuff around the country, so it's been good.
Now, there was a documentary to go along with the book that they did as well?
Yep.
Or?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Now, is that available on DVD, or it was just aired in Canada?
It's just airing on HBO Canada right now. I'm not sure if it was on YouTube for a while, but the producers pulled it for some reason.
Pulled it,
I don't know why. Yeah, but it's done very well. I went back to all those old haunts that I used to go to. I went back to the Crack House in Chicago, and went down to Chelsea Pier where I used to hang out with the homeless guys, and went back to Santa Fe and tried to find the gun that I threw in the desert. So it was pretty wild.
As you went through all that, what was your feelings now looking back at that?
Well, I think, it's one of those things where, you have to go back and take a look at your past in order to move ahead and, make amends and do all those things. So, I hate to cut you short, but I have another meeting I got to get into here. So.
All right, Theo. Well, thanks so much. Can I just ask you to cut a quick ID for me before we let you go?
Sure.
Just, this is Theo Fleury, or this is Stanley Cup champion and Olympic gold medalist Theo Fleury, and you're listening to Totally Driven Radio.
Okay. Hi, everyone. This is Olympic champion, Stanley Cup champion Theo Fleury, and you're listening to Totally Driven Radio.
Thanks, Theo. It was great.
Okay,
and
buddy.
Truly, I meant what I said. You are the definition of totally driven. Take care, man, and keep up the good work.
Thanks, brother. Take care, man.
All right. See
Bye.
ya.
Bye.